Okay, making this video for specifically for the folks that frequent the Coachman Facebook page. Has to do with winterizing your camper. All the campers usually have different layouts. So of course the hot water tank and the shutoffs and the valves might be in a different location. So what I'm in now is I'm in a 193 BHS. They don't actually make this model anymore. It's a little bunkhouse. So my location is under a bunk. I actually put a hinge in here to help me get access, what I need to access underneath very easily. And actually, this is pretty neat. I put an knob in here because if I didn't, I can't grab it all lay flat, and I can't grab it. So that's something I added. So this is where all the equipment is under here. There's some storage, and then right here is the water pump. The water pump's right there. And then you'll see there is a shutoff valve here and one down there. It's actually not a shutoff valve, it's actually the redirect for the water tank. So you'll see that the position, you'll see that they're pointing the direction of the liquid, where it's going. So if I take this and I turn it this way, it's gonna let the liquid get into the tank, and then if I turn the other one that way, it's gonna let the liquid leave the tank. When you shut them this way, it's bypassing. That's how you know if it's bypassed or not. It's definitely something that that's probably the trickier part of this whole thing. The other thing here is you'll see it. Mic just fell off. That's funny. You'll see here that there's the diverter valve here that I added a T. This camper was pretty bare bones and it didn't have one of these. Most campers come with them, so they'll have an extra hose sitting in here, and then you can load up your RV pink juice, we call it, and you just turn this valve on and off. So I had to add that. I had to cut the hose and put some ends in and put a T in. It wasn't too hard. There was a video out there for that. So I'm going to show you how to winterize the RV. The first thing that I like to do is, first of all, close those valves. So they're closed right now. They're in a position of bypassing this hot water tank. So I'm not going to let any RV pink antifreeze get into that tank. Not because it'll do harm, but because it'll take a couple gallons. You know, it'll take 6-7 gallons. We don't need to do that. We're going to empty the hot water tank out, so it'll be empty and it won't have any problems with the winterization. Okay, so what you want to do is, after you close off the hot water tank on the inside and divert the water from going to the hot water tank, you're basically just shutting that down, which I showed you in the other frame. So this is my valves for my hot water here, my hot water line and my cold water line, and these are the low point drains, they call them. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn these on, and we're going to get these going here a little bit. There shouldn't be too much in there. Now, I just didn't want to get any more water in the tank, in the hot water tank. I want to treat that as separate. I'm not going to winterize that with, you know, with the pink RV, antifreeze. We're just going to do our lines. So once that drains out, I'm going to go ahead and you can see it drained out pretty quick. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the pink stuff and we're going to put it in our tube, turn the valve on, and then we're going to turn the pump on. So we'll go ahead and do that. Hang on. Yeah, I do want to mention, after you drain this, you want to make sure these are closed, because if you're not, you're going to get all your pink stuff's going to come out here. So you want to make sure those are sealed, and you want to make sure that your shower is sealed too, which is something I need to get the key for, because you're going to run the pink stuff through your shower if you have an outside shower. So I've unlocked my shower. Something you definitely want to do that's not really well documented here. This is the City War connection, and this is the black tank flush. You want to pull this out. This little, if you have one in here, this is just a screen. It's a rubberized screen. So you want to get that out of there. It's kind of hard with one hand here. So I'm going to put the camera down if I have to. All right, so there we go. So in here, there's a little white thing. You're going to push on that valve, and don't put your face in here because it will squirt you right in the face. So I'm going to move to the side. Just going to push that valve with my finger, and then it releases the water. Now, I haven't had a city water connection in a while, so there's no water in there. Okay, there's just a little bit. You see that little bit? So what would happen is if I hit that, you would hear and you feel the water release. You don't want to have water in here because it can freeze and there's no winter antifreeze that's gonna get in there. So we're gonna put this back. Okay, so like I said, again, we're gonna make sure that we bypass the hot water heater. There's a valve on top and one on the bottom here. So this is, you can see that the arrow is flowing this way, and if you turn it this way, it's pushing water into the camper. We don't want that. So we bypass that, and we bypass the one down there. So now what we're doing is we're looking at our T here. Right now our T, this is our fresh water coming into our pump. So, and you can see this valve is turned this way, so this is the flow. What we want to do is we're going to turn the valve this way, and this is going to take this, now the flow is coming from here. So what we do is we just feed our hose into the RV gallon here. All right, and that's fine. And then I'm going to have another tank ready to go, because there's no way it takes a half a tank. It takes like a tank and a half. This is a small RV, other ones might be bigger. So then what we're going to do, now ours is in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn on our pump. So what it's doing right now is it's priming, it's pulling, you can see it's pulling some juice in here. It's trying to anyway. Now what we want to do is we want to turn on a faucet. There's not a, the faucet probably has water in it. So we turn that on. I know what you're thinking already. I'm filling my gray water tank, and I am. There's the pink stuff. Okay, so that's good. So that's where it's going to come into play. You're going to get that tube full. All right, because there was a lot of water in the line, and I just released it, and now it's just filling the line up here. So now we can go to our kitchen sink here, and just go ahead, run hot and cold, until you get the pink stuff. Okay, and it should come out. It's starting to, okay, it's starting to pull. Now you can look over here. It's not the best flow going on, because I think what I need to do is I need to take a look at my hose position in here. Yeah, we're out. So hang on, let me shut the pump off. So when you're out like that, don't panic. You just go ahead and shut the pump off, and then you get the new tank. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this down and switch around the tank. All right, so just carefully, you know, I mean, this isn't really poisonous per se, but you know, you don't want it in your camper everywhere. Now this one's nice and full, so this will probably do the trick. I don't want this to tip, so here we go. So we're gonna let that go. I'm just gonna, since it's filming a little bit, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hit the kitchen faucet, hot and cold again, and I gotta turn my pump on. So I'm gonna go turn my pump on. There you go. And you can see it's starting to move now, starting to move the fluid. All right, so now if I take the camera and look at the kitchen, you'll see we get the pink, right? Hot and cold. I got hot and cold in the pink, and that's also filling up my trap. So there's going to be stuff trapped in the trap. The trap is that little U in here. So I'm going to have pink stuff in there even when I empty my gray water out. And I will do that at the end. The gray water is going to empty it in a bucket. This pink stuff is biodegradable, so you can empty it in a swimming pool even. So you know, you could dump it off in the rock somewhere and just have a little bit of water and RV pink stuff. So the next thing we're going to do is the toilet. So the toilet here, I don't know what it looks like in here. We haven't camped in a while. I'm just going to hold that down until it's pink. And that we're going to do very little, because that's going to the black tank and I'm not emptying that in the bucket. Okay, but because we got all pink, we know that these little valves in here are filled with pink stuff now too. This is the stuff where it's hard, you know, if you're just doing air, from what everyone's saying, you need to make sure you flush your toilet to get that air going through there. The pink stuff means you got pink in here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to run that. We're good to go. Then we're going to hit that switch, and we're good to go. We got pink coming out of everything, and we're shutting that off. That's all we need to do. I took this handle off because you'll see in here, sometimes you can get debris in there from your hot water heater, and I'll explain that later when I show you how to clean out the hot water heater. All right, so pink is in the tub, pink is in the sink on both hot and cold water. Okay, and actually I'm going to double check that, make sure I got those going. Yep. Okay, so let's go check out our RV juice here. Let's go figure out what we got left. We got a half a bottle left. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to get a bucket and we're going to go to our outside shower now. So we've done this, we've done this sink, we've done this one, It's all good. Everything's good. So this RV, you know, it can mix with water if there's a little bit of water in there, and that's kind of helpful because if there is a little water, it'll just kind of dilute it and make it not freeze. So let's see how I did in here. With first thing I want to do is I want to shut the pump off now. So I should tell you that. Get that pump off. I did plug the camper in to do this, but your battery should be able to, unless your battery's weak, you should be able to do the pump on the battery. Okay, so I emptied this half a barrel, you know, this half a tank here, and then you can see this is a whole one, and I'm down, you know, I have like less than a quarter. So I would say at least 2 full, you know, jugs is good for this camper. Your camper might be different. Okay, your camper might take more. So, you know, just be careful of that. So a couple things I'm going to do. I'm going to pull this hose out, and I'm going to run the pump, I think, one more time, and I'm just going to hold the hose up to see if I can get some of this pink stuff out because it's kind of stuck in the line. And then ultimately I'm going to shut that T off afterwards, and then I know I'm good to go. So in the spring, all I'm going to do is I'm going to open up those the diverters for the hot water heater. There's one up top and one on the bottom. One goes in and one comes out. So that's all it does, that diverter. Okay, and there's my water pump right there. So just so you know. So that's what it looks like. If you guys have any questions, of course, down on the bottom. Now, I don't know where your hot water heater is if you have a different model, but you know, there should be a manual. You should look around. You should definitely want to know where it is. My RV dealer, you know, gave a deal, said you could pull up with the camper, they'll do it for $100. This cost me $6. The T was probably $15, and I was bought that a couple years ago. So you know, $6 versus 100, and it's my camper, and I kind of take pride in it, and I know I've done it right. I'm not saying the RV guys are going to make a mistake, because that's what they do. They do RVs. That's all they do. But I want to, you know, I just like doing it myself. I know I've checked every, you know, faucet. So we did the bathroom sink, hot and cold, toilet, the shower hot and cold, and you also want to pull in the valve for the shower to make sure it's running through that. You want to do your kitchen faucet hot and cold and make sure pink is coming out of both. And then what I did was I drained my gray tank out. I did this all after I changed the diverter, so I'm not getting any pink antifreeze into the water tank. It won't hurt the water tank, but you're just going to waste a lot of antifreeze. It's a 6 or 7 gallon hot water tank, so you don't want to fill that up. You don't need to. You're going to empty the water out. It'll be winterized empty for that. So that's about it. I don't need to drag it out anymore. If you like the video, you know, click like. You know, I've been doing this for years without YouTube likes or anything. It's just to help people out, so it's no big deal. And I'm going to show you in a later video. Hopefully I'll post a link of what happened when I tried to clean my hot water heater out, and me trying to fix what I did. Not a big deal, but it's interesting. Have a good one.